Good morning, world.
Good morning. Well, if you guys haven't heard the incredible, awesome news, the Pfizer vaccine is now FDA approved.
Yes, we're filming this on Monday, the day it was approved here in the United States, which means yesterday it wasn't that safe, but today it's safe.
I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, so I'm going to preface this. We're not saying don't get the vaccine, and we're not saying that overall it's not safe. I mean, obviously, we're not stupid. The numbers show that hundreds of thousands of people now, we'll just go with the United States, have been vaccinated, and there's only been a little bit of collateral damage.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just going to play this in the background for a little bit. If you haven't seen this, these are the people that did the clinical trials for not just Pfizer, but some of the other ones in the UK, AstraZeneca. And these are the people that passed away during the clinical trials. And not to minimize it, but it's more than a few. And you'll just see them come, going behind me. And again, it's not to say that overall it's not safe, but here's what I've been saying, and I say this to Cedric all the time. I don't want to come off as this conspiracy theory anti-vaxxer. I've been saying this, and I've been saying this over and over again, and I try to say this to my friends. If you are 85, and I put the numbers up there before, if you have more than 2 comorbidities, I would probably get the vaccine.
Right.
Okay? As you get more, but really it doesn't really kick in until you get about 10 comorbidities, then you really have a good chance of dying from this virus. If you have less than 2, and if you have 0, you really don't have, I mean, and here's, I hate to cut myself off, but Cedric hates when I do this, but I'll get on these Facebook things and somebody will post something, and I'll just make a statement, a generalized statement. 12-year-olds do not die from the coronavirus, from COVID-19. And of course, somebody who just doesn't want to have a serious conversation will find the one 12-year-old that died with COVID-19. That's not a serious... That's
with
not
COVID.
That's not a serious discussion. Because 12-year-olds die in auto accidents, 12-year-olds die from the regular flu. So just because you found the one person that died at 12 years old from COVID, it's not a serious conversation. Look at the numbers. If you're a 12-year-old with no underlying conditions, and of course they didn't tell me what this person, who knows, this could be a cancer survivor. Look at the numbers. The numbers speak volumes. If you're 12 years old and you have no comorbidities, literally you have a statistical 0 chance of dying from COVID. Right. So why should a 12-year-old get the vaccine? Now, the one thing they did is it's only 16 and older.
Right.
But we've mentioned this before. Right. And if you find something where one of those athletes that tested positive for COVID over the last year and a half, find me one athlete in their 20s, professional athletes, they're all in their 20s and 30s, or Tom Brady in their 40s. Find me one that has died from COVID, and then we'll have a conversation. But still, statistically, they don't die. Right. So again, if you have more than 2 let's say you're obese.
Yeah.
You have diabetes and high blood pressure.
And anxiety.
Then I would say, get the vaccine. That's probably a good bet, because people like to throw that out. I'm a betting man, and some people say, oh, it's such a small percentage that died from the vaccine. Okay, well, if you're a betting man, if you're 20 and healthy, why even take the chance? You don't even have to make that bet. In fact, now I was just watching today, natural immunity is still better. So some people are out there saying, get the jab twice, and then go expose yourself to COVID, which would mean don't wear the masks, because now you'll have the best immunity of all, because you get the 2 jabs, you have less chance of dying, according to the experts.
Right.
And now you get the actual disease. Now you got all the immunity in the world.
Right.
But again, why are we pushing this? Why did the FDA all of a sudden approve this? I know they put in to have it approved, But is it safer now, Cedric?
I don't think it is. I mean, and Brian's going to cover this in more depth, but this is more in his wheelhouse, being that he's in the healthcare field. But I'm seeing the memes that are floating around the internet already, is that people who are conservative on the right are now sitting now scratching their heads thinking, okay, what excuse can we come up with now that the Pfizer vaccine is actually FDA approved? I still don't trust it. I mean, and again, like Brian said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Anything that comes out from the government, I'm kind of leery of. I mean, they haven't had a good track record with me. Look at our schools. Look at our post office. Look at a lot of things that are run by the government.
Look at this chart.
Look at that chart.
Look at this chart. This chart is when we were growing up. There's your food pyramid. Promoted by our government.
Yeah.
Breads are really good for you if you look on that pyramid. That's what you want. All of these carbs.
Yeah.
And now what do we know?
And I hope Brian, I mean, he'll discuss this. We didn't plan this out before we're talking, but I think there's 3 things that the experts are now saying that this takes care of. Number 1, it addresses all of our concerns now. Does it really? Like I said before, like Brian said with the chart, there's a lot of things that are approved by the FDA. We have some props up here that we're going to talk about sooner or later that aren't good for you. Number 2, it makes the mandates more accessible now for schools, businesses, things like that. Now they can say, well, now you have to get it because FDA approved, and that's going to force people to get it.
And that's my concern, is because there were groups coming out and saying, because it's only emergency use only, you have to deal with all these lawsuits. Hey, this is not constitutional. So now the government pressures the FDA to say, come on, please, make this thing approved so we can get rid of all those lawsuits that talk about emergency use. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The numbers are the numbers. People still die from COVID. They still die and are dying from the vaccine. I guess it's an acceptable number. But again, yes, if you're 85 and have 3 comorbidities or more, get the vaccine, take your chances. If you are 20 and healthy, I'm sorry, what's the point? We don't know the long-term effects of these vaccines.
Right. And the third thing is, and now it's going to allow for all these off-label things like boosters.
Yeah.
It's going to allow that now. So those are the 3 things. It's going to address concerns, which it doesn't. Number 2, now employers can make mandates more accessible to you and say that you have to get this now. And number 3, the off-label things like boosters say, well, now you can get this. And
Show me the money. Show me the money.
Ain't that the truth? You think Pfizer got broken off a little bit? Well, they're an arm of the government, but
it's, again, it makes sense. These vaccines make sense if you are in a population where you have a good chance to die from this. And let's bring up real numbers here. If you're 85 and have comorbidities, you're down to only 95% chance of survival.
I hate to say it, but it's true.
So again, if I was a betting man, I mean, you go play blackjack, you're 50-50. If you're good at it, you can up your odds a little bit. You go bet black or red on the roulette wheel, little less than 50%. You have a 95% chance of survival if you get COVID at 85 with a couple comorbidities.
Right. Do you want to talk about our props?
Yeah, so the reason I have this, these are, I had Cedric go out. These are what we call Mexican Cokes. This is Coke, United States Cokes. Okay, I don't know, all you out in Australia and Sweden, all those people that comment. I'm going to read 2 things. So here's the difference between 2. Here's the obvious difference. The Mexican Coke comes in a glass bottle. I had a patient who worked for the aluminum can companies, and he's about disposal, how they have to dispose this. He works for the aluminum can company. He said, I will never, ever drink anything from an aluminum can anymore. He don't even drink beer from an aluminum can. So that's one thing, and you can take that for what it's worth. I don't know how real that is, but you know what? That's his industry. He told me that. But here's the other part. The Mexican one that's distributed in Mexico, here's the ingredients. Carbonated water, cane sugar, caramel color, phosphoric acid, natural flavors, and caffeine.
Now, does adding that to Jack Daniels dilute it a little bit?
Then it's safe.
Okay.
And here it is from the United States. Carbonated water, so they have the same thing. High fructose corn syrup, caramel color, phosphoric acid, natural flavors, and caffeine. The only ingredient difference is the Mexican one uses cane sugar, the United States one uses high fructose corn syrup. Now we know why they use that. It's much cheaper to produce because you actually make that. It is a man-made product basically that they put together after getting cane stalks, corn stalks.
Well, that's bad for you, but that means it can't be approved by the FDA.
Well, they're both approved. Obviously, I bought them both. You bought this here in the United States. But here's the thing. High fructose corn syrup spikes your insulin levels much quicker and to a much higher degree than cane sugar. Are they both bad for you? Yes. This is probably worse for you. But they're both bad for you. I mean, the obesity in this country, most of it is from this, not from eating a couple extra pizzas, although that does contribute to it. Sugar contributes to diabetes the most, okay? And this sugar spikes it the quickest. So we have all kinds of bad effects. And again, what Cedric's point was, you're going to trust the FDA when they approve all the stuff that's bad for you, but all of a sudden, because it's a medicine, then, they know what they're talking about.
Right.
Again, please, we're not saying if you have, even if you're young, if you're a young person with a bunch of comorbidities, for whatever reason, you were dealt a bad hand, then it's probably a good bet to get the vaccine and take your chances. But again, if you're healthy and your chances of dying from this are next to zero, statistically zero, then why are you going to put something in your body? And why should the government now mandate you to do that, which they're going to do? You think it was bad when it was emergency use only? Oh my goodness, the schools, the government employees are already saying, Biden's already saying it. Now they're going to shove this thing down your throat. So you better all find religion, and you better find the religion that you can file an exemption for.
Well, I have to look this up. I forgot where I got it from, but there was a panel of 22 people that looked at the vaccine before it was put out there, and 17 of them voted yes. Okay, yeah, it's passing whatever specs we have to get through. 4 said no, and then 1 decided to abstain. We heard that one person, he was a government employee, and so the government's going to answer for him why he abstained. But the 4 who said no, there's various reasons, and one is like there's still allergic reactions to this vaccine. Mm-hmm. People are getting injected over in the UK, and they're coming with allergic reactions. Some of you have commented in the comment section that you've had bad reactions to it. So, but the government, like Brian said, they're trying to jam this down our throat, and there's no good reason. Like Brian keeps talking about the comorbidities. He and I are both healthy individuals. I believe I had COVID back in November of 2019. I got through it, but that's, like Brian said so eloquently at the very beginning of this, if you feel you need to take it, then by all means take it. But I'm just having a hard problem with the government saying, you have to take this.
Yeah, and even if you go on, if you haven't done this already, go on worldometer.org, I think it is, .info, worldometer.info, and hit the coronavirus thing and look at the numbers, because some of the interesting things are when you look at, who's this for? This is for... I'm gonna use Sweden later, but so currently infected in Sweden is 21,305. Okay, that's right now today. Mild conditions is 99.9%. 0.1% is serious or critical. That's of the people that have it. That's not of the population. Obviously, of the population, it's much less that's seriously or critical. So this is a mild, for the majority of people, this is a mild disease.
Right.
Okay, that's just numbers. Is it higher than the flu? It was originally, yeah, we saw the peaks and they went above the normal mortality for that period of time. I'm going to bring up Israel. Should we do a couple? Since I've got the graphs open, I'm going to...
So this is going to be a short video.
And I'll put this on here. I'm just going to do this real quick.
Okay.
So look up on the board here. I'm going to look at my phone. So the daily new cases. So Israel was, the reason I'm using Israel is because they were one of the best at getting the vaccines out, since we're talking about the vaccine. If you look in July through December of last year before the vaccines, they had a spike, obviously the winter, but then look even before December, there was hardly any cases. Then the vaccine came out, there was another spike, and then it went down. Was that due to the vaccine? Maybe, but what makes you think that, considering it went way down in December and January with no vaccine? And now you look out here, 80% of their population is vaccinated, and look at that. As of July and August, there's another spike. So you have to look at things with a skeptical eye.
Right.
And then just because I know we're going to close this out, and then I'm going to bring Sweden up, because I talked about Sweden, if you remember, go back. And I was derided for this. I write about Sweden. I had friends. Oh, Sweden's doing the worst out of everybody. Look at Sweden right here. They're not highly vaccinated. They didn't close down. They basically closed their schools, only high schools, for a small period of time. But the graph had nothing to do with the closures. If you look at the peaks and the downs, it had nothing to do with it. They never closed their elementary schools down. Commerce went on. And look at that. They had a big spike again in May, right before June of last year. But look at that. No vaccine, and it went almost down to 0 deaths with no vaccine. Then all of a sudden, it started going up again. Vaccines came out. It didn't really change the curve. And now it's down. No lockdowns for any, they locked down a little bit. But look at that. Their deaths are almost 0. Their deaths are almost 0, and they don't have a highly vaccinated society. So for those who think that to end this, you have to have a vaccine, this shows natural immunity right here because it went through the society. And the reason why the Delta variant hasn't killed them like it has everybody else is because they're showing now that natural immunity works better against variants than the vaccines. The vaccines are for the specific spike protein. Natural immunity is for the whole virus. So.
Right. Now I have a question, and you may not be able to answer this. Maybe some of you other can answer it for me. Now this Pfizer vaccine has FDA approval. What does Jim and Joe America do when their boss comes to them or HR comes to them and says, you have a choice. You either get the vaccine or you're fired. And why is our government doing this intentionally to put people out of work almost? It's like we're already stressed out enough from COVID, from the lockdowns.
Now we can put on our conspiracy hat and go back to, we did an episode about the Great Reset.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's a thing. It's something you can look into and make up your own mind. But when we have these world leaders pushing something on literally this is not nearly as bad as what SARS-1, MERS. Those killed people at a high rate. This one is more infectious, but it doesn't kill people at that rate. But we have this world government now, and again, put on your conspiracy hat, and I'm not saying this is true, but you're looking at it and you have to, like Cedric said, and I said this a few episodes ago, please start asking why. Why? We know money. We know that they're going to make billions of dollars off of these vaccines. The flu vaccines. The flu vaccines are always at the most, and you'll hear numbers, they're 60% effective. Most of the time they're like 30% effective. And even those numbers I doubt, because most people that get the flu vaccine, the regular FDA approved flu vaccine, they get sick for 2 days. What happens when you get the flu? You get sick for 2 days. So is it actually helping? I don't know. I've looked at the numbers of deaths over years, and it doesn't look like the flu deaths diminished after the flu vaccines came out. It looks like we are able to treat people's symptoms better over time. So, again, you do you. I know people that get the flu vaccine because they think it's going to save them. And then I just kind of giggle at them when they say, God, I got the flu vaccine and I was like totally sick for a day. And I'm like, well, I didn't get it and I didn't even get the flu.
Right. And this has been happening a lot, depending if you're right or left, doesn't really matter.
No, this is not a right and left thing. Look at Mississippi.
Like that. Right.
That's a red state who's now they're turning into Australia in Mississippi.
Right. I have a good friend of mine, and for months she was saying, Cedric, get your vaccine. And no, you can't come over and you can't be around. She ended up getting COVID. Now, that's not funny. That's not funny. She had a good laugh about it. We had a good laugh about it. She goes, I feel like a complete idiot. I'm the one that's telling you, stay inside, wear your mask, don't come over.
At least she's double protected now because she's had the vaccine and she's had COVID.
Right.
Of course, the COVID is going to give her better immunity.
Right, but she's a healthy woman, exercises. She has the Peloton bike, rides that religiously,
but
eats
she
well.
But she didn't get that sick, right?
She didn't get that sick.
No.
But I don't know. This video superseded what we're originally going to put out today. But like Brian told me when I came over, he goes, we're going to switch things up. He gets to do that because he's the executive producer.
And I already have the other one ready for Thursday, so get ready for that.
Well, he said this one was timely because of the news yesterday, which they were filming Monday.
And I have a son in college who has to deal with this now.
Yeah. It's a damn shame. So anyway, make your own decision. Stay informed. I know, thank you to all of you. We did a 2-part series on COVID, and we saw numerous comments of people saying, thank you guys for doing the legwork. He did a lot of the legwork. And putting that information out there. Use our videos. We're saying that we're experts. Absolutely not. I'm far from it. At least Brian's in the healthcare industry. I'm a teacher. But
everybody wants to use these betting analogies that are on the other side. Right. I'm going to take that bet and get the vaccine because, hundreds of millions of vaccines have gone out and only tens of thousands of deaths. I guess that's okay, tens of thousands of deaths. But here's the point. If you're a betting man, then you have to be a little bit more nuanced. If you're healthy, your chance of dying from COVID is not zero. Obviously, you're going to find those exceptions. But again, they're minimal. It doesn't matter what your age. I've known 85-year-olds that survived it without the vaccine before the vaccines came out. Now, would I have recommended them to get the vaccine if it was out back then? Maybe, because of their age, but they survived it. Some of them didn't even get that sick. Right. So it's not a death sentence. People, the reason they're rushing to the vaccines because they think the fear that's out there in the media is that you get this, you die. When you have a higher chance if you're 20, no, let's say I'm going to use an age 16. You have a higher chance if you're a healthy 16-year-old learning how to drive and going to get in an accident than actually getting really sick from COVID. And those are statistics. And you can look on Worldometer. Go to Worldometer before you hit the coronavirus and go to the bottom, and it lists you all the deaths that are happening this year from cancer, from AIDS, from abortions, from mothers giving birth. I mean, there's thousands of mothers that died in childbirth. People don't look at that. They just look at the numbers of COVID. Oh my God, people are dying from COVID. Guess what? Many more people are dying of cancer this year than of COVID.
Right. And so we'll end with this. I mean, they're going to keep this in the forefront. They're going to keep this on your subconscious and your conscious mind consistently and persistently. I think it's done a lot to take our minds off what's going on at the border, what's going on in Afghanistan, because the more we focus on COVID, the more that we can not focus on the things that...
Look at that timing again, because you're good with this timing stuff. He always gets me with this timing. So Biden just comes out and talks about FDA approval, go get your vaccine, because he was getting hammered on Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I mean, the timing...
Anyway. And they'll quickly turn us back and jot off stage. But anyway, hope you guys appreciate this. Leave your comments and let us know what you think. We appreciate your feedback. We didn't talk about food, did we?
No. Be prepared. I know you love to watch our pancakes and us making pancakes. We're going to switch it up soon. But be prepared, because especially with this going on, there's still going to be lawsuits. Who knows what's going to happen, because after the Delta variant, there's going to be, the Phi Beta Kappa.
Epsilon, the Kappa, the Theta.
So be prepared.
Like Brian says, are you prepared? Do you have enough food, water, and other essentials to get you through tough times? If not, check out My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's #1 preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families just like yours. Right now, you can save 25% off their popular 4-week emergency food kit, which will keep you well fed for 4 weeks worth of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. This food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it will be there when you need it. In fact, you may need it a lot sooner than that. So make sure you stay prepared. That's www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com.
And the reason we're doing that is because we're doing a lot of videos now of kind of reviews of music. Mm-hmm. We don't get paid for that. That's just our own time. But if you can support us and support yourself with not only with Patriot Supply, but these are great hats. Yep. These are great hats, especially the camo hat. And if nothing else, this is a way, instead of some people just ask for money on Patreon, just, hey, give us money on Patreon. We're giving you something for it. We just make a little bit off of each hat sold. And it's a way you can support our channel and get something. And then you can wear it proudly out there. It's got the 13 stars out there from our original 13 colonies. Yeah. And
we guys, thank you guys for watching. Like Brian says, stay tuned for this Thursday as we're going to do another music review. It's not the guy who you think it is. We got a little surprise for you. But make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and please share this video with everyone you know. And you don't need Cedric and Brian approval or FDA approval to do this. Continue being good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. See you later.